Hello, hello, hello. Let me just check that my microphone is on. Yes, it is. Okay, fun and games. My gimbal, my brand new gimbal, has just died on me. Anyway, it is an absolutely gorgeous day now that it's stopped raining. Not ideal, but these things are sent to try us. You honestly couldn't make it up. If it's not the software breaking or not working, it's the gimbal giving you jip. It's just letting me know who's boss. Well, this one, because people had to pay for it, I think has only got 5 or 6 bookings on it. It's all trial and error until we can work out what is the best model, you know. Hi Michelle. So we've got, is it Trist? We've got Deirdre and we've got Michelle so far. That's 3 of us. Now, like I say, the gimbal's, I'm really gutted. The gimbal has died on me for some reason. So I'm going to have to do it by hand. If it gets too much for you, just, I totally understand. It's just, yeah, and it took me ages I fiddled, you could see every step I was taking. So I managed to sort that out, and when I checked it before I came out, it has stick. So we are going to do this old school and hopefully not make any of you feel sick. I'll get you some of the Dean Village in if it kills me. But the idea behind it today was, I thought, the good thing is, because it's now up to me what we're doing rather than having a sim where we are, so that you can see how close the Dean Village is to the centre of town. And of course, here we are, gimbal-less. So it's just going to be, I'm going to quickly, very softly, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? This will make it easier just for a second. Right, if you're looking at my face, it doesn't matter if we're wobbling too much, because you can see me. So hopefully that's going to make it a wee bit better. So I'm just going to take us up and round the corner slightly, just so that you can see. In fact, can I see it from here? Yes, I can. So I'll just come down these steps. Right, I'm going to turn you around. Right, now as you look in the distance, you can actually see Edinburgh Castle just above that green stripe, that rooftop. That's the top of Edinburgh Castle there, and you can see the barracks block, and there's a flag flying in front of it. So away in the distance, let me see, can I do this with one hand? You see the castle there with the traffic lights? That's the castle right there. So Princes Street is just round that corner. I'm going to take this off because there. So that's how close we are to the West End. You're lucky if that's a 3-minute to 5-minute walk to get to Randolph Cliff, which is just here. And that's part of the Murray Estates. I'll do the Murray Estates with you one day. It's quite interesting. So I'm going to try and walk down. Please forgive the judder, because obviously my gimbal has died on me. But anyway, it's nice to see some familiar faces, which is really good. So yes, forgive me please. Now, as you can see, that's the top of the Dean Bridge, and when we get closer to it, you can see the parapet's quite high, so the sides are quite high. They actually had to increase them because we had like a really hard time, sort of 1910s to, well, obviously, and then you had the war and things, and a lot of people couldn't handle it. And hi, now you see this building here. It's lovely. It was a shop. It was sort of an artist took it over, and it's just such a quaint wee thing. Now when we go down the hill here and we see it from the bottom, you'll realise how high up in the air it actually is, because you don't realise behind this building's a 106-foot drop. It's really steep. So we're just going to head down the hill here, and I will try to keep as steady as I can. Like I say, I don't have the gimbal, it's not working, but this is the first time I've done one of these buy me a coffee, ones, and I was so nervous about doing it, and of course there we go, the gimbal dies on me. But anyway, right, there's nothing coming behind me, but look at the detail on it. Isn't that a gorgeous building? And then just up there, hopefully you can make it out, you actually have two sundials. I'm hoping you can see them. So we've got these two sundials here, and this is Bellsbrae, and as you can see it says leading to the Dean village. So we're on the right track. In fact, from here, I'm in the road, but don't tell anyone. There, that's actually, you can see the castle from here much better. So there you are. So yeah, it is really easy to find the Dean. I'm trying so hard, Michelle. It's just, well, the good thing is my camera, I think, has a stabilisation thing in it anyway, but the trouble is when you're walking it gets more bumpy. Like you can see there's a wee sway going on there. I'm trying not to do it, but the trouble is then I have to slow down to try and make it less bumpy. But anyway, at least we're not wasting the day, because the sun is shining, it's gorgeous. And I was so nervous about this, but yeah. So we're just heading down this hill into the Dean village, and I quite like starting up here actually. It's quite nice, apart from the gimbal issue. So yeah, I hope you're all having a lovely day. I think I've finally managed to work out the Streamlabs software, because I was really worried yesterday because Natalie had a bit of a horrendous time, but hopefully this is all sorted now. See, that's the good thing, all the guides talking to each other, so we can kind of go, have you tried this? Have you tried that? So yeah, if any of you are on Facebook and you want to keep track of what I'm doing, Go Virtual Scotland. Go virtual, and then Scotland. It's a Facebook group that I set up, and it shows all my tours. I have sent a wee invite to Paul, because it's like, and the other Scottish guides, to join it if they want, because that way at least you know where all the Scottish guides will be in one place. So yeah, anyway, so if you look here as we come round the actually I'm just going to move you up. Do you see the turret? That's Scots baronial. It was a very popular style of architecture. We'll see more as we go round, but as we come down Bellsbrae here, Bray means hill. Okay, you can see where the stable doors were here. So that was the entrance. Last two remaining, Bellsbrae development by Sundial Properties. 10 luxury 1 and 2 and 3 bedroom conversions. And oh, nice. Right, somebody Google and find out how much one of those houses is. So yeah, so I'm now on the sets. So the paving material, this is the same as you'll see everywhere else in the old town. These are man-shaped. They're made of volcanic rock. They're very hard wearing, but if you fall on them, they're bone breaking. Now we're nearly getting down to the actual village proper, and just coming into view, that yellow building, that's the sort of toll booth. So that was where the Baxters had a grain store, had a meeting hall, all that kind of thing, where the administration was. And here's another former stable entrance just there. But I'm just going to try and get onto the pavement, because it's slightly smoother down there. Yeah, and the nice thing about coming down here is we can have a little sneaky peek and look at the back of the buildings. So you can see there's some green space back there, and you see these houses in the distance up on the rock, up on the hill. So they're looking down on the Dean village. So you had some very expensive houses looking down on the village, and the people that lived there, you know, didn't obviously admire the view, because it was very run down and very overcrowded, squalid living conditions. So you can kind of see them better from here. So that's where that's the founder of the Scotsman newspaper, Finlay. He stayed up here and he was looking down on the Dean village, and that's when he decided that he wanted to do something about it, because it was such a mess and the living conditions were absolutely atrocious. And the other nice thing is all these flowers. They really take care of their flowers here. All these little planters. I'll just show you around here. There's some more over here, and we're still not into the bottom of the valley yet, but there's the Dean Bridge in the background, and the church just above, that's the one that's now the Christian Centre. Right. It's always so pretty down here. Now the yellow building here, this was built 1670s, I think it was. 1675, yep, I've just spotted the date stone on the door. Now the Baxters of Edinburgh We know they've been here since at least the 1100s because there's actually a charter where David I gives the monks at Holyrood one of his mills at Dean. So one of the mills at Dean was given to the monks at Holyrood. So this, the Water of Leith, which we'll see in a minute, has been used for a long, long time for its power, you know, to power machinery, mill wheels and that kind of thing. Now I am going to go up on the little street there, and it might get a bit juddery, but just try and bear with me. I'm trying to keep it as tight as I can so it doesn't wobble too much. Right, now I'm going to show you this because it's gorgeous. Right, no cars coming. So this is the original front door. So you can see that lovely moulding around the door. That's typical of the 1600s. You'll see that quite a lot. But just above it, God bless this house, built by the Baxters of Edinburgh, 1675. And then here you have this lovely stone that tells you exactly what you're looking at. You've got the two angels, in between them was a wheat sheaf, the top part's missing. In the middle you've got two baker's peels, two crossed peels. One has a pie on it, the one on the right, and on the left there was actually 3 loaves of bread, there's only 2 now. And then in the middle you've got the bags of flour. So you can look at this and you can tell exactly what it is they sell. So yeah, this is now accommodation, it's been turned into accommodation, but we're just going to pop up Hawthorn Bank Lane. Now you see how we've just walked down Bell's Wynd and we're coming up through this lane. This was the original route to the ford to get across the river, and you can see this lovely cutout. The wall sort of corbels out at the top here, and that's so when a horse and cart went through here it wouldn't bang the corner of the building. It gave it a wee bit more space to get through. And then look at these flowers, aren't they gorgeous? Oh no, I've lost somebody. I hope, can everybody hear me okay? Is this, it's still working. Right, okie dokie. So here, the lady that looks after the plants here, she does such a fantastic job. Aren't they gorgeous? It's still working alright, thanks, that's great. Love these what are these, tulips? They're just gorgeous. So yeah, the Dean Village, they really take care of it. There's a lot of pride in the community about it, you know. So I'm just trying to go slowly because it's quite steep here. And there's the stairs, and round the corner there's some more stairs. So whenever you've come across a flight of stairs in Edinburgh, they're for going down. Don't try to climb them because you'll find an extra 100 as you go round the corner. Really? Oh, thanks, Deirdre. Now we've got the Hawthorn Bank buildings just in front of us. These are absolutely gorgeous. They're not that as old as they look. I mean, they're over 100 years old, but they look kind of an older style. So these are the end of the 18 going into the 1900s, the yellow ones. And then if you look, the white ones are actually 1980s. So they've had a little nod at the yellow ones just to say hello to the neighbours and keep it in keeping. Right, now here's a little gap just coming up. This is so bumpy. Right, okay. So just in front of us here we've got Well Court, and that was built for the working classes. I'll tell you more about that when we get into it. But we're now looking down at the Water of Leith, the river. Now you see the pedestrian bridge, we're going to go over that in a couple of minutes, but just in front of it, this side of it is where the original ford was, so the shallow part for you to get across the river. So yeah, so the pedestrian bridge is from the end of the 1800s. It was closed for a couple of years, but they got funding to restore the metalwork and put a new boardwalk on it. So that's quite nice. And then just below us we've got lovely private gardens. So there's quite a lot of green space in here. Right, so I'm just going to get us round the corner here. Sorry. Right, now as we come down here, I'm going to let you look back at the bridge. It should be really pretty, but as you can see, this is very, very steep and uneven, so I'm just trying to make sure I don't make anyone feel sick as we go down. Oh, look at that view. Isn't Well Court gorgeous? Isn't that stunning? We've got such a beautiful day. I hope some of you are able to take screenshots. I know that quite a few people had worked out how to do it, so fingers crossed, because it is really pretty. Now, the Dean Village, you can walk really easily from here to Stockbridge. It only takes about 10 minutes, and you go past a couple of mineral wells. One of them isn't particularly good, and it got closed down because it was poisoning people, and the other one is St Bernard's Well, which stayed open much longer, and it's very pretty, and it's got a lovely statue. Oh dear. Anyway, I'll just come down and hope I don't get hit. Well, he didn't get the momentum up, he's not made it. Right, anyway, so just bear with me down the steps. Oh, and look at that view. Isn't that gorgeous? You can see almost a full circle reflection there of the bridge. Now, the bridge that you're looking at, that replaced the ford, and it wasn't built until the 1670s. So yeah, before that point everyone was just getting their feet wet. But it's just gorgeous, and you would not believe that this is in the heart of a city. This is part of the World Heritage Site. It's just on the edge, but it's included in it, and I'll just let you have a little look down. Have we got any? We've no ducks at the moment, but sometimes we've got ducks and things in here. Oh, there's little birds over there. Oh, I just said it and a duck went under the bridge. There. It's Well Court again. Like gorgeous. Right, so we'll just head over to the bridge. Right. Yeah. It is. Oh, hi Sweden. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, we're very lucky, because when I did a little practice sort of, you know, freebie type thing, just because I was testing out the Streamlabs, because I thought I'd worked out how to fix it, and just after that it started to rain, and I'm like, no, I'm doing the Dean Village, it has to be sunny. I've waited so long to do it. You can actually get down to the water's edge just by going down these little steps here, but I'm just going to take us onto the bridge. That's beautiful, isn't it? It is absolutely gorgeous, and we're so lucky. You know, this little river, the Water of Leith, is actually, it runs all the way through Edinburgh from like Balerno, and upstream is where I used to live at Slateford when I was a child, and we used to play at the Dell in the Water of Leith. It's a lot shallower up that end, but still, you know, enough to get wet. So yeah, most people in Edinburgh have been in this water at some point. Right. So you can just see it come along here. Right. Excuse me. Thank you. It is not do the, well, I think will we do the weir or not? It should be pretty. We'll do the weir. We'll give it a bash. Just try not to make you feel too yucky with the movement. See, this is quite a steep bit to get down. That's the little bridge we've just gone over. So if we come along this way, and you can see in the water, you start to hear the sounds. And there's lots of stinging nettles out. And I was smelling wild garlic. You know how you get that garlic smell? I had been smelling that the last time I was here. Had a nice little private tour along here. Lovely, lovely couple from America. But so those are jaggy nettles. You really want to avoid them at all costs because they sting and it's really uncomfortable. Oh, this is just so nice. It's so peaceful. I hope you can hear the water. Yeah, just once we get round the corner you'll start to see the weir as well. Now, if you look across the road you can actually see there's a wall there underneath the ivy. So as we look there you can just see the brickwork, and that was to help channel the water, to condense it, to get the power going into the mills that were behind us. There was about 9 mills on this side. The total length of the Water of Leith, there was about 70 mills, but through this area there was quite a lot, right down to Stockbridge. Yeah, in fact we actually have another area in Edinburgh called Cannon Mills, because that's where the canon also had mills, so the monks at Holyrood. Right, just get past these people and you'll be able to see the weir. It's absolutely gorgeous. He's having a ball. So that was the Dam Head Weir that we just looked at. That dog is so gorgeous. He's happy. I just love the way that... Oh! I just... Sorry, the dog had a shake and I got a droplet of water right in my ear. That was funny. Oh, what a sweetheart. Yeah. And it's the way you can see like the shadows with the trees where the sun's coming through. Then just ahead of us there you can see the new town. It's a later phase of the new town, but they were very rich people and they're having to look down on the Dean village, because once you get to the 1800s, you start going through the industrial revolution, and the powering of mills becomes more mechanical with like steam and things. Plus we had the water of Leith by sort of the 1800s was actually being used as an open sewer because they didn't understand the problem with sewage, and so the river became very, very polluted. So if you imagine the Thames in London along the same lines as that, and this was the water they were using to continue to mill. It must have been absolutely horrendous living conditions. It is very pretty. I love the birds. In fact, you can hear the birds cheeping away. They're very musical today. Right, so I'm just going to take us up and we'll have a little look in Wells Court, and then we'll go and have a look at the Dean Bridge. So I'm trying to walk slowly so I don't judder you about too much. Is that clematis? No. I think, is that clematis, that flower? Well, whatever it is, it's really pretty. They're gorgeous. Right. Such a beautiful day. Do you know what? We should have just brought a picnic, sat out and just enjoyed watching nature go by, you know? There we go. Right. So just in the distance there, we've finally got some ducks. They're all male, but at least there are definitely ducks here. Right. Okay, let's head up the hill. This might be a bit bumpy because, like I said, it's very, very steep. Oh dear. Right, so this is the garden to Well Court. It's a private garden, so I can't take you in, but there's nowhere in it just now, so I can let you have a little look through the bars. And that is the back, well, it's the font from the Belford church. When it stopped being used as a church, they popped it here. So yeah, it's really pretty, and they've got lots of bird feeders further along, and it's just a really pretty little sort of sun trap of a garden. Look at that sky, isn't that gorgeous? Right. Oh, what happened there? There we are. There. So we're just going to come up here slowly because, like I say, it's really uneven underfoot, and I'm trying to keep it steady for you. Now, the 1980 buildings on the left here, yeah, they're not the prettiest, they're kind of boxy, you know, but the last mill in the Dean Village was grinding wood, making wood flour, and that was for the linoleum trade, and unfortunately it wasn't properly ventilated, so you had a lot of this wood dust accumulating in the atmosphere, and then it just takes one spark and the whole thing blew up, and that was the end of milling in the Dean Village. But we also had a tannery, there was a brewery, along with all the mills and things. So yeah, there was a lot of industry going on down here. And when it was just the Baxters, you know, they were one of the richest of the guilds in the city, and, you know, breadbasket of Edinburgh. Right, so I'm just coming along and we'll pop into Well Court, just let you have a quick look. Right, I love that sign. Notice, loitering and football playing strictly prohibited. So here we are. Now this, obviously you can see it's a communal drying green. The clock tower is there for several reasons. you weren't allowed to come home late. So you had a curfew. You weren't allowed to come home drunk either. Where the clock tower is, on the ground floor you had like the factor's house and his office, so he's like taking care of the taxes, looking after the tenants and everything. And on the top floor, that was the hall, and in there they would have reading, dances, weddings, and on a Sunday it was used as a church. And there was actually 3 different congregations that used it. So that's just one of the stairwells going in. And then if you look up at this stairwell here, way ahead of its time, you can see it's got openings. So air is flowing all the way through. Now when this was built, it's at the end of the Victorian period, and the Victorians still didn't, well, they had this idea that, you know, if you're poor, it's your own fault kind of thing, but you weren't actually allowed to move stations. You couldn't move up in the world, really. So their accommodation was very, very poor. And when Finlay built this, he actually gave every single flat indoor plumbing. So he had them plumbed with toilets. Up until that point, tenement blocks actually had 1 toilet per landing, or even worse, the toilets were outside in the back garden, the drying green. So yeah, absolutely horrendous. So he did a really good thing here. Now if you look, we've got the white sandstone, which is typical Edinburgh sandstone, and then we have this red sandstone. Red sandstone comes from the west side of the country, so it's I know, it's amazing how close it is. So it was laid down in it was laid down in deserts, and ours was laid down in lagoons, and that's why they're different colours. Yeah, no, it's just amazing how people survived back in the day. Right, so I'm just going to head along here a little bit, and hopefully not be too wobbly going over the cobbles. Yeah, I can't wait until I've got like everything under my belt and I stop being nervous about stuff. Oh, so just in here, this is the schoolyard. So when the school actually was open with children in it, this was like their little playground, and now it's like a little playground for the kids in the area. And look at that, a coffee bike. Is that not the most fantastic thing you've seen? I saw him setting up the other day. It was just amazing. He just cycled in, and within about 2-3 minutes he was ready to go. Now, this is Dean Path. So this takes you all the way up and out of the village. So when Queen Margaret, St Margaret, died in Edinburgh Castle, her body was brought through the Dean village, across the ford, and then brought up this path to get out. Now we had the Water of Leith village, and the Dean village right next to each other, and it was always causing confusion. So in the end, the two just became the Dean village, just to save any confusion. So yeah. Now that's the school. 1875. Closed down in the 1960s, and now it's accommodation, so people live here. It's been broken up into flats and things, but the roundel you can see, that is in all the buildings. Right, let's just no. So I'm just going to turn you around before I take you over the bridge, because I want to show you. This is the West Mill, okay? And this is the most intact mill we've got of the period in Edinburgh. It's been here since like the 1600s. It was remodelled in the 1800s, but there was lots of mills, like I say, here. So this is now all accommodation. The bridge we're about to go over is 1675, and isn't that pretty? Get that lovely, the colour yellow like that. Even on a dull day, it looks gorgeous. So we'll have a little look at the river, and then I'll show you something on the other side. So you see this building, it's got tiny little windows, and that was how big the windows were at the time, because glass was very, very expensive and you couldn't get it in big sheets. But as fashions change, the size of the windows increase, so the one at the end here is much bigger. It's like twice the size, and that was very common. Fashions change, you make your windows bigger, because by this point we're starting to mass produce glass. And that's just looking back where we've just come from. Right. Now if I take you over here, try not to drop the phone in the river, because that would just be a disaster. As the wind picks up. If we look down here, you see these two openings. I mean, they're blocked off now, but originally the water would flow in there through the building and come out on the other side, and that's how they powered the mill. From here you can see bits of stonework. That's where the Lindsay mill was, and the Lindsay mill went back to the 1500s. There are still a couple of wee things left of the Lindsay mill. I'll just show you as we get up here. So just on the pillar there you can see the crossed peels. So you've got 3 pies and 3 loaves of bread. So that's part of the Lindsay mill, and it's very visual. You know, you look at it, you know exactly what it is. And then just here there's a lintel, and it's just there, and it would have been above a door, and it says "Blessed be the Lord for all his gifts," and you've got 15 at one end and the rest of it's missing at this end. I did that on the way around. Thank you. See, that's what's nice about the wee village places as well. Everyone's really helpful. Now just ahead here, this office stroke accommodation building is where Jericho was, and Jericho was a grain store that was 6 stories high. Huge. And this is Miller Row. The great thing about Scotland is the street names tell you stories, who lived there, what was carried out there, or what you're actually looking at. So you can generally kind of work things out. Right. Just coming down here as quickly as I can. She says, "Oh, do you know what? It wouldn't be a fun tour if things went smoothly." Well, that's my excuse anyway. It's such a beautiful day. It's really warm. I've got my fleece on, and I could have done without it. Right, and when I get round this little corner here, we should hopefully be able to see the weir and the side of the mill. Just depends how well grown the trees are, the leaves. Right, okay. Right, I think we're gonna, no, we can almost see it. So there you can see the weir just going, so you can see the weir just going down here, and over in the corner over there you can just see an arch where the water would have come out. So if you follow the grass across, you'll see the wall, and then there's an arch in it. So that's where the water would have come out when it had gone through the West Mill. Now there was a mill run that ran above head height from this weir all the way down to Stockbridge, and it powered the mills that were down at this point. But there was a landslide, I think it was the 1820s, or was it 60s? Anyway, it doesn't matter. In the 1800s there was a landslide, and it wiped out that and took out some of the mills as well. So that was really this, you know, the last straw. Now, just here, these are millstones from the Lindsay mill. So that's the one that was on the other side of the bridge. So this side of the bridge. Now you can see they're segmented like an orange. So they're in pieces. The reason they're in pieces is if they were to try and transport that in one piece, a slight knock, a little jerk could snap the whole thing, could break it all up. So they segmented it like an orange, and then they put metal bands on it to hold it together. And originally they would have had 2 metal bands, but as the stone wears down with the milling process, they take a band off and then they wear it down again. Now we've still got you see these lines? So that's to help make the flour come out the way. So yeah, now there's lots of expressions that are to do with milling. Keep your nose to the grindstone. The reason you're keeping your nose to the grindstone is you're smelling for smoke. You want to make sure that there isn't any smoke, nothing's about to burst into flames. Keep an ear to the grindstone. Your ear is listening for chattering. So that's when the two millstones are chattering together because there's no grain getting through. And that can then cause sparks. So yeah, we've got lots of these sayings. So yeah. Now, as we come down here, we're seeing the Dean Bridge from the underside, and you can see how high it is. And you can see where they raised the parapet from here. You can actually see the extension, it's a different colour. Now the little building just in front of us, this is sort of 1916ish, round about that date. It's Scots baronial in style. It looks much older than it is because Scots baronial has always been one of those styles of architecture that's come and gone on a fairly regular basis, so it keeps being brought back because we like it. So you've got this like castellated top, the turrets, there's fake arrow slits and all sorts. Lovely little building. Now, as we come round here and we start to look up through the trees, remember where we started? We saw that little building right at the top of the hill. That's it through the trees just ahead of us. And we had a mill sitting here that took the height all the way up to that building. It was 6 stories high. So they weren't little mills here. Oh, thank you. No, you need to come back to Edinburgh. It doesn't matter how many times you come, you always see something new you're not expecting, you know. Now, I'm nearly finished. I just want to show you a couple of wee things. Now, I have shown you this before, and we may or may not be able to see them because there was lots of bits of wood trapped on them the other day. So you can see the man fishing. Where his fishing rod is pointing, follow it up onto the stone and you can actually see an otter sculpture. Now wait a second, is it telescope one? I don't know if I'm showing you it in here or not. Yeah, there it is. So you can see the otter just in the trees there. He's quite difficult to see, kind of blends in. I'm just going to put you back down. Right, now the actual legs are very slender. This is a Thomas Telford bridge. Absolutely gorgeous. These legs are hollow. The bridge was actually completed ahead of schedule by about 3 months, and the builder asked if there was going to be any bonus for finishing the bridge early, and he was told no. So he decided to make his own bonus. He kept a hold of the bridge until the official handover date, but what he did was he charged pedestrians to be the first to walk across it. So he paid them a fee and you could walk across the bridge. So yes. Now, just one wee last thing I'm going to show you. Up on the wall here, you can see the plaque. It says The Dean. D-E-N-E. That's the original spelling. And the spelling's changed over time. So that's what it was called, The Dean. Now, as we look at the stonework, you see these holes, right? There's one there, one here, and then when they lifted the stone it locked in tight and it made it much easier and much faster to get the stone into position. So there's a little technological? No. Well, whatever, an advance. So yeah, now if you wanted to go to Stockbridge, you go that way. You're lucky if it takes 10 minutes. And then that's us just looking back down at the water. So this is the water of Leith, and as it flows, the way it's flowing is taking it out to the port of Leith. So yeah, I'm sorry about the gimbal not working, but you know, it's a new gimbal and I will not trust it now when I look at its battery. But hopefully it wasn't too shaky for you and you enjoyed it, and I will see you at another time. So remember, it's go Virtual Scotland, and that's the Facebook group that I'm in, and it has all my tours and everything listed in it. YouTube is Edinburgh Tour Guides, with my face now because everyone was looking at it and not realising it was me. And I will be trying out, what's that called, Zoom. I'm going to try that out now that I've got the hang of this, just because some platforms are easier for people than others. But I really hope you enjoyed it, and I will hopefully see you again sometime. Okay, right, bye.